I'm gonna find my glasses so I can actually see what I'm reading. So today I'm announcing that we filed suit against General Motors and OnStar for deceiving customers. Specifically, GM and OnStar collected data, driving data, acceleration data, braking data, etc., as part of the OnStar safety program. And they then sold that data to third parties who sold it to insurance companies, and in some instances raised people's rates as a result of that data or denied coverage as a result of that data. And the key here is the deception. This suit is about deception. There was no consent to the selling of this data by GM and OnStar. And so the people had no idea, customers had no idea that that's what was happening with their data. And OnStar was is marketed as a safety product, which certainly it can be, but that's what people were thinking about when they signed up. They were not thinking about the misuse of their data, the selling of their data. And I want to read a couple of, I have a copy of the complaint here. We're getting you a copy of the complaint. So the New York Times broke an article about these practices in 2024. And the General Motors indicated after that that they were going to stop doing this. The New York Times story was in April of 2024. And in our complaint, on page 19, paragraph 54, I want to emphasize a couple of things. Even if a customer carefully read every single word on the screen detailing the program that they were a part of, that they were joining, even if they had read every word on the screen, the disclosures and link policies would still not inform the customer of GM's actual conduct. The process, therefore, did not obtain informed consent from the customer. And if you'll look over at paragraph 57, while GM's, General Motors, confusing mix of user terms and privacy statements varied, none of them informed consumers, that GM would sell any of their data, or that the data may be used to create risk profiles or driving scores that could increase their insurance premiums and cause them financial harm. So this suit was filed this morning. I think we have a stamp copy for them. The one that you have? Yeah, we have a file stamp. We will have one when they get back from the courthouse that we're happy to provide you. Because of the deception, we're bringing this suit under Arkansas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. One other state that I know of has already filed suit on this particular case. But the bottom line is, for years they were selling this. It looks like they began selling the data at least as far back as 2015, and then there were articles in the New York Times in March and April of 2024. Texas filed a lawsuit on this matter in August of 2024. So it's a pretty straightforward case. You had GM and OnStar that had the driver data. They sold it to third-party vendors who sold it to insurance companies. That was there was no informed consent for that to occur. And they weren't just giving people's customer preferences. In this case, they were literally giving the driving data. If you were a part of this, if you were one of these customers. So happy to take any questions. Yes, sir.
Dan McFadden, the Democrat Gazette. So I guess without being able to read through this so far, have you been able to determine the scope of the impact of this practice on Arkansans?
That's going to be part of the litigation. That'll be part of discovery. And like I've tried to do with other suits, we'll provide updates as we can. But we have reason to believe that there's substantial impact on Arkansans. Otherwise, I wouldn't be bringing this suit.
General Griffin, so we're constantly signing our life away, constantly hitting accept. How is this different than what we do with Facebook or X or just so many ways that we do this?
Well, I'd say a couple things. First of all, I would refer you to paragraphs, I think, 54 and 57 in the lawsuit, where we say there was no consent here. You weren't signing that away. It was not, no one was informed this was happening. Secondly, we have lawsuits, and there are many other lawsuits around the country regarding misuse of data by a number of social media companies, et cetera. So they don't always follow the rules. And even if you read the small print, I just want to reiterate that, because if you go back to paragraph 54, last sentence, even if a customer carefully read, let me rephrase it, even if an Arkansan carefully read every word on the screen, all the disclosures, all the link policies, spent whatever time it would take to do that. And we've all been faced with that, usually in a hurry when we just click and move on, which is what I believe you're referring to. That information still would not inform the customer of GM's actual conduct. There was no informed consent here. Yes, sir.
Yes. Any indication that other services similar to OnStar might be doing the same thing?
We've had some discussions about that. We're not ready to say definitively at this time. This sort of data is obviously commonly used. Now, they all have different agreements that are specific to their companies. This is one that I believe we first learned of because of the press, because it was covered in the New York Times. And so that's something that we'll continue to look at. Yes, sir.
Can you explain why you're filing this in Phillips County?
We make a lot of filing decisions around the state, and we have a strategy, and I don't care to share our litigation strategies with the other side. Anything else? Okay. Yep.
General,
Yeah, go ahead.
you've got a couple other big ones out there with Temu and Google. Do you want to update on those?
So we've got a number of lawsuits, Meta, TikTok, Temu, Google YouTube. I think what I would say generally on those, we are primarily still in the motion practice where they're trying to get rid, where the other side is trying to say, you can't do this. You don't have jurisdiction. You can't bring these suits here or whatever. We have a great track record thus far. I believe we've won just about everything, just about every motion. I think we've won every motion. And we are continuing to plow forward. And I'll hopefully have more substantive updates down the road. But right now, we're dealing with a lot of motions to dismiss, which are very common. The first thing the other side wants to do is say, you can't do that. You can't reach us legally. And they make all kind of arguments, which thus far have all failed. Yes, sir.
I know you're just filing this today, so what would you like to see the end result of this action to be?
Yeah, so there are a number of remedies that we seek. Unjust enrichment, injunctive relief, attorney's fees and cost, obviously, monetary relief, and we'll have to see what that monetary relief looks like. It could include restitution. We'll have to see. But we're asking for all of what is necessary to make sure it never happens again. Yep.
General, do you have any, is there a possibility that you'll join with the other states in the lawsuit?
This lawsuit is our lawsuit. That's a good question, sort of more broadly, more strategically. So, and let me comment on that. So when I first took office, maybe even before, I noticed that there were a lot of what we call multi-state investigations. And I was not pleased with the fact, with the pace of a lot of these multi-state investigations. You get 20, 30 cooks in the kitchen, it may take a little longer to get your meal. Well, what we saw here is, what I saw is there were investigations that would have meetings to talk about the next step of the investigation, and they just take so long. We are involved in some of those, but when I feel like they are moving slower than they should, or when I feel like it's something that we should go along on, I just do it myself much quicker. I can ask me what I want to do, and we can do that really quickly. We can make decisions like that. And I would say, because of that posture, whether it be TikTok, Meta, a number of other suits, TMU, we are way ahead of where we would be if we were in some multi-state committee. And I'm in some of those. They do some good work, but they take a long time. And so that's not always in the interest of Arkansas. It rarely is in the interest of Arkansas. And so this is our suit. And I think if you look thematically over the last couple of years, you would say Tim likes to move quickly. He likes to get these going and do the work here. And that's what we're doing here. And, in the future, I'm sure we'll continue to join some suits with others. Sometimes it's just one other. Like we joined with Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General of Missouri, on a Title IX case. We, too, were the ones. Sometimes that has to do, it's part of, it's strategic. We're both in the 8th Circuit on that one. So there were others outside the 8th Circuit that were coming together in their circuit. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But this is our lawsuit, and I think this is absolutely the right move for us.
Can you say, which specific insurance companies this may involve, and do you anticipate maybe taking any action against any insurance companies?
I think it's too premature to talk about that. Okay? Thank y'all. Appreciate you. I don't know if you're covering it, but I'll be at another press conference at the Capitol